In the muted light of early morning, the old group home stood like a reluctant participant in a dreary play. Its faded paint and cracked windows echoed the lives of the children trapped inside. In the corner of a chintzy room where toys lay abandoned and laughter felt like a distant memory, sat Jamie, a 12-year-old boy with unkempt hair and oversized glasses. His thin frame hugged the walls as he sought solace in solitude, an uninvited guest in a world that often overlooked him. Jamie felt the weight of isolation like a heavy blanket. Other children darted around, exchanging barbs and laughter, finding joy in their camaraderie. But Jamie was different, quiet, introspective, and often lost in daydreams. He longed for connection, yet feared the ridicule that came with trying to fit in. His days blurred together, punctuated only by the sharp bark of laughter that felt like splinters against his skin. The morning routine was interrupted when a letter, crisp and official, arrived on the doorstep. It was small and unassuming, yet Jamie felt something shift within him as he took it from the mat. The envelope bore his name, scrawled in a handwriting he didn't recognize. Heart pounding, he opened it carefully, as if the contents might spill out and shatter his fragile world. "Dear Jamie," it began, "you have inherited a house from your great-uncle Timothy, a relative you never had the chance to meet. The property is located in the remote town of Silver Pines." The words danced off the page, twisting his reality in an instant. Inheritance? A house? Curiosity ignited within him, battling the skepticism that clung to his mind like a stubborn shadow. Who was this great-uncle? Why hadn't he ever heard of him? More importantly, did he deserve something so significant? Jamie felt a flicker of excitement sweep through him, followed closely by a cold wave of doubt. His fingers trembled as he placed the letter on the table, where dust motes floated in the shafts of sunlight cutting through the grimy window. He imagined the house, a decaying monument to a family history he knew nothing about. Perhaps it was a chance to prove he was worthy of something beyond the confines of the group home. With a deep breath, Jamie summoned the courage that had long evaded him. This could be a fresh start, a path leading out of loneliness and into something he couldn't quite name yet. He pictured the house nestled in a snowy landscape, a sanctuary waiting for him to uncover its secrets. As he glanced around the room, the laughter of the other kids felt like a distant echo. The idea of visiting this new place grabbed hold of him, a mix of trepidation and rare excitement swirling within. He knew there was an adventure waiting, and for the first time in a long while, he felt compelled to step away from the shadows. Comment below where you're watching from, he thought, imagining how unlikely it was that someone else could relate to his story of unexpected twists. But if they could, maybe they felt the same kind of isolation. He encouraged himself, "Please subscribe, I could use all the support I can get." And with that, Jamie made a decision. He would visit the snowbound house and experience whatever awaited him there. Holding the letter tightly in his grasp, he felt a spark of hope. Perhaps this was the beginning of not just a journey to a house, but a journey to discover who he truly was. Little did he know, the echoes of the past and the promise of new beginnings awaited him, ready to intertwine in a way that would change his life forever. The morning sun struggled to break through the heavy clouds as Jamie prepared to embark on his journey. With a small backpack slung over his shoulder and the inheritance letter crumpled in his pocket, he felt the exhilarating grip of uncertainty mixed with a twinge of fear. The group home, with its peeling walls and lifeless corridors, receded behind him as he walked towards the bus station, each step drawing him away from the safety of familiarity. The bus was nearly empty, the few passengers inside glancing briefly at the anxious boy sitting near the window. Jamie watched the world outside transform into a blur of gray and white, the snow-covered landscape shimmering under a dim light that seemed all too fitting for his mood. He felt an ache in his chest, an odd mixture of anticipation and longing as he thought about what waited for him at his great-uncle's house. It was hard to shake off the memories of laughter and warmth that filled the group home, even if he often felt like an outsider. As the bus wound its way through the winding roads of Silver Tines, Jamie recalled snippets of conversations about the mysterious small town. He had heard of its storied past and the whispers of lost fortunes, but nothing captivated him more than the thought of belonging somewhere. The landscape turned more desolate with each passing mile, an echo of the isolation he felt in his own life. When the bus finally screeched to a halt, Jamie swallowed hard, wiping the frost from the window. He stepped onto the snow-blanketed street where a sharp breeze cut across his face. Gazing at the towering structure before him, Jamie felt both awed and intimidated. The house loomed large, its dark shutters closed tightly against the cold, resembling a giant sentinel of secrets. He had seen pictures in the letter, but they did little justice to its imposing presence. The gabled roof was dusted with snow, and icicles hung like teat from the eaves, glistening in the dim light. For a moment he hesitated at the entrance, his heart racing as he approached the door, a weathered frame that seemed to welcome him with open arms, yet also warned of the uncertainties within. The excitement he had felt earlier battled against the gnawing fear of the unknown. Would he actually uncover the history of this place? Would it unveil a connection he had longed for? With a deep breath, Jamie pushed the creaky door open. It groaned in protest, slicing through the heavy silence like a knife. He stepped inside, immediately hit by the cold air, a stark contrast to the warmth that the sun had brought outside. The interior was cloaked in shadows, filled with the scent of aged wood and dust. Sunlight poured through the spacious, cobwebbed windows, illuminating a thin layer of dust that danced with every breath of air. As he crossed the threshold, echoes of the past wrapped around him like old blankets. Jamie felt an odd familiarity with the peeling wallpaper, the moldy floorboards creaking beneath his weight, and the thick silence that resonated in every corner. He had read that houses held memories, and he couldn't help but wonder what stories awaited him here. With apprehension, Jamie ventured further into the house. Every room he entered unfolded like a scene from an ancient play. There were remnants of lives once lived. A dusty piano in one corner, its keys yellowed with age, and tarnished silverware displayed behind a glass cabinet in the dining room. Each artifact told a story, of laughter that filled the air, of family gatherings that once wrapped around the table like a warm embrace. He paused in the living room, his fingers trailing over an old velvet armchair, sinking before a fireplace that had long since gone cold. He pictured family members sitting together, sharing tales and creating memories. The idea was almost foreign to him. This was the world of family, and he felt like an intruder, lingering at the edges of a long-forgotten movie. Suddenly, Jamie noticed an unusual draft coming from beneath a large rug. Curiosity piqued, he knelt down and tugged at the corners, uncovering a loose floorboard beneath it. His heart raced with excitement as he pried it open, revealing a darkened space below, a hidden tunnel. A mix of fear and thrill coursed through him as he peered into the darkness. Could this tunnel lead to deeper secrets buried beneath the house? The possibility was irresistible. He hesitated, listening to the creaks of the house, as if it were urging him to make a choice. "Do it, Jamie," he whispered to himself, the words barely escaping his lips over the pounding of his heart. "This is your chance." Taking a moment to gather his courage, Jamie climbed down into the chill of the tunnel, descending into the dark abyss. As he moved further inside, his heart raced with every echo of his footsteps. What lay ahead? What fragments of his family's history awaited him in these hidden rooms? As he ventured deeper, Jamie's surroundings began to transform. The narrow confines opened into small chambers filled with dust-covered artifacts, photographs, letters, and trinkets from ages past. It was as if he had stumbled upon a treasure trove of memories. Each item held within it stories of lives entwined, generations connected. And for the first time, he felt a flicker of belonging stir in his heart. He gathered his breath and began to sift through the items, the promise of uncovering his past becoming a tangible reality. In this forgotten corner of the world, Jamie felt a connection begin to form, whispers of family history echoing through the silence, calling him to discover who he was and where he came from. Little did he know, this journey into the darkness would shine a light on the path to his own identity, forever altering the course of his life. The musty air inside the tunnel clung to Jamie like a shroud, woven with dust and secrets. As he plunged deeper into the dimly lit passage, the walls began to feel less like barriers and more like guardians of stories long forgotten. The faint sound of dripping water echoed around him, an ancient rhythm that seemed to synchronize with the rapid beating of his heart. He reached forward to feel the walls, tracing his fingers over the uneven surface. The coolness of the stone sent shivers down his spine. With every step, anticipation coursed through him. This was more than an adventure. This was an awakening. He was driven by a sense of purpose, an almost primal urge to uncover what had been concealed for so long. Little did he know, this moment was the first thread pulling at the tapestry of his family's legacy. As he rounded a bend, Jamie's breath caught in his throat. The tunnel opened up into a small chamber, bathed in a faint, flickering light that came from a solitary oil lamp resting on a makeshift table. His eyes widened, and he stepped closer, noting how the light danced across the room, illuminating dust particles drifting like lost souls. In this tucked-away sanctuary, time felt fluid, a place where the past and present kissed each other softly, devoid of judgment. On the walls hung portraits of stern-faced ancestors, their gazes fixed upon him with an intensity that made him feel both brave and small. Jamie shivered as he studied their expressions. He could see snippets of himself, the curve of an eyebrow, the set of a jaw, and realized with each passing second that they were more than just faces. They were pieces of him. Next to the portraits, a wooden trunk sat partially open, inviting him to explore its depths. Heart racing, he knelt beside it, his hands trembling with excitement as he opened the lid completely. Inside was a treasure trove of family memorabilia. He gasped when he saw a collection of weathered photographs stacked haphazardly, images of family gatherings, weddings, and holidays, all infused with warmth and laughter. The ghost of a smile crept across his face as he sifted through them, lingering on a photograph of a boy who looked remarkably like him, a younger version of Jeremy, who was clearly the embodiment of joy, surrounded by smiling family members. As Jamie delved deeper into the trunk, he unearthed old letters bound with a faded ribbon, the fragile parchment soft beneath his fingertips. The ink had faded, but still told tales of love, loss, and resilience. He read snippets, their words a time capsule of emotions. My dearest Clara, it feels as though love is the only thing worth fighting for in this world. The longing in the letters washed over him, sparking questions about the lives these relatives lived. Had they felt loneliness too? Had their hearts ever ached as his did? For the first time, Jamie's loneliness seemed to dissolve in the warmth of connection. He was discovering not just his ancestors, but pieces of himself, a mosaic of experiences that wove him into a legacy he never knew he belonged to. In a corner of the chamber, something shiny caught his eye. There, tucked beneath a layer of dust, was an ornate box, a music box, intricately carved and painted with blooming flowers. Jamie's heart fluttered as he lifted the box into his hands, feeling its weight as though it contained the essence of memories locked away. With trembling fingers, he wound it up, and an ethereal melody filled the air, cascading softly around him. The gentle notes stirred something profound within Jamie. It felt like a lullaby from a time he had never lived, yet already felt a part of. He closed his eyes, letting the music envelop him, whispering solace to the scars of loneliness that had haunted him for so long. The melody washed over him like a warm hug, a reminder that he was never truly alone. As the final notes faded, Jamie's thoughts wandered to the home awaiting him above. How had it fallen into neglect? What tragedies had turned laughter into silence? These questions loomed in his mind, igniting an ember of determination within him. He decided right then and there that he would not let the past remain hidden. This house, with all its ghostly memories, was his heritage, and he felt a spark of duty growing. It was time to breathe life back into it. However, he knew he couldn't do it alone. The treasures he had discovered, the stories that lay buried in this chamber, needed to be shared. Jamie envisioned a fuzzy image of people gathering in the house, laughter spilling from its doors, stories weaving together in a vibrant tapestry. But first, he had to bring this house back from the brink of despair. After taking one last lingering look at the treasures around him, Jamie stood, feeling a new sense of clarity. He strode back down the tunnel, determined to reclaim a legacy that had long been abandoned. The past was rich, with pain and joy, a narrative that could shape his present and guide his future. As he emerged back into the familiar coldness of the house above, memories of his ancestors lingered like echoes, their spirits seemingly urging him on. Jamie knew now that he would not only rebuild a house, he would reconstruct a lineage lost in time and revive its spirit with every ounce of love he could muster. This was the start of a journey that would challenge him, but for the first time, he felt ready to face it. Jamie ascended the stairs, leaving behind the tunnel's cool embrace. Jamie knew now that he would not only rebuild a house, he would reconstruct a lineage lost in time and revive its spirit with every ounce of love he could muster. This was the start of a journey that would challenge him, but for the first time, he felt ready to face it. Jamie ascended the stairs, leaving behind the tunnel's cool embrace for the colder air of the main floor. His heart raced, fueled by newfound determination. With every footfall, he felt the weight of the house pressing gently against him, urging him to uncover its hidden stories. The shadows felt lighter now, as if they recognized his purpose. With a surge of energy, he set about exploring the rest of the house, eager to dig deeper into its history. The living room, once cloaked in silence, now pulsed with life through the stories he envisioned. He picked up the photographs and letters from the trunk, placing them carefully on a table, bubbling with excitement over what each piece revealed. As he sorted through the photos, one face caught his eye, a woman with gentle eyes and a warm smile. The familiar twist in his gut made him pause. He was drawn to her, as if some deep connection beckoned him. Driven by a compulsion he couldn't quite explain, Jamie shifted his focus to the dusty library, its door creaking in protest as he stepped inside. The room, filled with aged books that lined the shelves, felt charged with untold secrets. Reaching for a hefty volume of family history, he felt something slip out and fall to the floor. Curious, he bent down to retrieve it. It was a small, yellowed envelope addressed to Clara, the woman from the photograph. He carefully opened it, heart pounding, and began to read. The letter was an emotional confession, filled with regrets and promises. Clara expressed love for her child, revealing the reasons behind her estrangement from the family. "To my dearest child," it began, "if you are reading this, then the weight of our family's history has fallen on you. I made choices to shield you from pain, but it is time for the truth to be unveiled." Tears filled Jamie's eyes as he delved deeper into her words. Clara had faced countless trials and had to make heart-wrenching choices, all to protect her child from familial turmoil. The letter spoke of a forbidden love that had led to her banishment from the family, a betrayal that echoed through time. Realization dawned on him. Clara's sacrifice had created a ripple effect that shaped his own life, nurturing his loneliness and yearning. Feeling a profound connection to Clara, Jamie recognized that her story was not just his family's past, it was his own. The depth of her sacrifice ignited an unquenchable fire within him. No longer would he hide from the mysteries of his lineage. He would lift the veil and bring the legacy back to life. This house, once a symbol of abandonment, would become a sanctuary of reunion and understanding. He rushed back to the living room, reinvigorated with purpose. Opening the family history book to its blank pages, he grabbed a pencil, feverishly outlining his ideas. This house could be a gathering place, he mused, envisioning joy and laughter echoing through the halls once more, bringing life to the once lonely rooms. A communal space where love and connection could flourish, where the past and future could intertwine harmoniously. With newfound clarity, Jamie penned letters to distant relatives. "Dear family," he wrote, "I am Jamie, the grandson of your long-lost Clara. I have discovered treasures of our family that hold the key to healing our past." Each word poured out with a mix of longing and hope, a burning desire to reconnect with those he barely knew but felt bound to through shared blood. Days turned into weeks as Jamie worked diligently, reaching out to relatives and gathering stories. His excitement grew as responses trickled in, each letter like a thread weaving together a tapestry of family. Some were eager to reconnect, while others hesitated, caught in the web of history that had torn them apart. As he prepared for the family gathering, Jamie went all out to create a warm and welcoming atmosphere in the beloved old house. He cleaned every surface, polished furniture, and hung photographs as conversation starters. His heart raced with both excitement and nerves. Would they come? Would they be open to embracing the past? The day of the gathering dawned sunny and bright. While he paced the living room, anticipation twisted in his stomach. Cars began to filter down the long driveway, each arrival sending ripples of hope through him. He stood at the threshold, welcoming each family member with open arms, their expressions a mixture of surprise and curiosity. Once everyone was settled, laughter and anecdotes filled the air, creating a lively tapestry of conversation that echoed through the house. Jamie felt warmth swell in his heart as he watched family members connect, faces lighting up with the sparkle of moments shared. Past grievances began to dissolve as the vibrations of joy enveloped the room, forging a powerful bond that flowed through the gathering. According to Clara's letter, Jamie shared pieces of family history, unveiling tales long forgotten. Stories of resilience emerged, illuminating the shared struggles and triumphs of the past. "Our family is a mosaic," Jamie said, his voice steady, "woven together by the threads of our shared experiences." In the heart of the house, a place that had once sprawled in silence, an orchestra of stories played, and Jamie stood as the conductor. Each story retold, each laugh shared, unlocked doors to memories, both painful and joyous, that had lain dormant for decades. This wasn't just a reunion, it was the awakening of a family legacy, forged anew with love, understanding, and healing. Feeling invigorated, Jamie looked around at the faces of his family, each one rich with history, struggle, and triumph. He felt anchored in the very fiber of their lineage. In that moment, it became clear to him that he had not only unearthed secrets, he had also forged a future designed for growth and connection. As conversations flowed into the evening, Jamie realized that the music of their laughter was a testament to the resilience of family. He felt the house come alive with life, filled with stories that bound them, stories woven with love, humility, and enduring strength. It had transformed from an abandoned relic into a vibrant sanctuary of hope. In that space, Jamie embraced not just his past, but the community he had ignited. He no longer felt like an orphan wandering through shadows. He was surrounded by family, a rich tapestry of hearts and histories entwined. The once lonely house now echoed with laughter, alive with the spirit of reconciliation and acceptance. Jamie understood now more than ever that love can transcend time, creating a bridge over years of distance and isolation. He stood at the center, a beacon of connection, a reminder that while the past may shape us, it does not define us. Instead, love and connection write the legacy we choose to embody. As the evening wore on, laughter and conversation filled every corner of the once silent house. Jamie reveled in the transformation, savoring the warmth and love that enveloped him. Yet amidst the joy, he sensed an undercurrent of tension, a whisper of discomfort that stirred in the air, barely perceptible but undeniable. As he mingled with family members, sharing stories and embracing newfound connections, Jamie couldn't shake the feeling that not everyone was entirely on board with the reunion. A distant cousin, Mitch, had remained largely quiet, his demeanor heavy and guarded, casting sidelong glances at Jamie as if assessing the situation. Something about Mitch's discontent began to gnaw at him, raising an unsettling feeling in Jamie's stomach. Later that night, as family members filtered down to the living room for dessert, Jamie noticed Mitch pulling aside Aunt Lily, their voices hushed in urgent whispers. It was a sight Jamie couldn't ignore, and he approached them, his heart racing slightly. "Hey, what's going on?" Jamie asked, trying to sound casual, but the tension in his voice betrayed him. "You wouldn't understand," Mitch replied, curtly, crossing his arms. "The past isn't as simple as you think, Jamie. You might have uncovered some treasures, but not everyone is happy about digging them up. Some things are better left buried." The weight of Mitch's words hung in the air, and Jamie's heart sank. "I just wanted to reconnect us, to bring us together," he said, genuinely confused. "What's wrong with that?" Aunt Lily sighed heavily, her brow furrowed. "Mitch means well. It's just that family history is complicated. There are scars that still hurt. Not everyone is comfortable with reopening old wounds." Jamie felt a flicker with anger and heartbreak. But how can we heal if we don't talk about it? This house, it's full of love and shared experiences. We need to embrace the past. It's part of who we are. Just then, the door swung open, and Jamie's heart dropped to his stomach as he recognized another figure stepping into the room. It was Clara's estranged brother, Daniel, a man he had only heard whispers about. Old family tales spoke of scandals and betrayals, and Jamie had always felt a mixture of curiosity and unease toward him. "Looks like the family reunion is in full swing. How quaint," Daniel said, sarcasm lacing his words. "What do you think? This will fix everything? A little family gathering?" Jamie swallowed hard, feeling a wave of alarm wash over him. "I'm just trying to help everyone reconnect, to bring forth the love that has been lost." Daniel's smirk faded into something darker. "You don't know the half of it, kid. Not all love is pure. You think uncovering the dark past won't come back to bite you? There's a reason most of us have stayed away." Tension crackled in the room as others overheard Daniel's words. Jamie felt the air grow thick with anxious energy, a storm brewing in the hearts of his family. "What are you talking about?" Jamie demanded, his voice steely. "What don't I know?" "Why don't you ask Clara?" Daniel replied, voice low. "Why don't you learn the truth about why she ran away from all of this, why she chose to hide a part of you?" Confusion and fear swirled within Jamie as the room grew still. All eyes turned toward him, questions hanging in the air like uninvited guests. No one had fully explained Clara's secrets, and now, with Daniel and Mitch's words echoing in his ears, he felt unprepared to meet whatever revelations lay ahead. "Clara wanted to protect you from the family's past, because it is ugly," Daniel continued, his eyes locking onto Jamie's with intensity. "It's not just petty scandals. It's the kind of pain that ripples through generations. You think you can piece together a family by unlocking doors that should stay shut? You might unearth things that will shatter you." Jamie's heart raced as they volleyed back and forth, confronting the weight of the past that had long obscured the truth. Shadows of his family's history began to press down on him with a ferocious weight. What secrets did they hold that could dismantle the newfound ties he had forged? He thought of the joy he had felt just hours ago, the laughter, the stories, the warmth echoing through the halls. With uncertainty creeping in, Jamie turned and walked away from Daniel, his breath shallow. He needed to regroup, to clarify his intentions. In the kitchen, Jamie poured himself a glass of water, willing his hands to stop shaking. He felt the warmth of the house receding, dread creeping in like fog. Had he made a mistake by digging into the family's past? Was rebuilding a legacy truly possible if the foundation was treacherous? Mitch entered the kitchen, observing Jamie's turmoil with keen interest. You know, not all family is meant to be together. Maybe some things are best left in the dark, he said cautiously, trying to bridge the divide. No, Jamie replied sharply, his voice cracking. You can't believe that. If Clara felt the need to protect her own story, then surely it's valuable. If I can bring it to light, don't you see? Maybe it can help us heal. Mitch's expression shifted from hesitant to defensive. There are repercussions to shine light on things that have been buried. You think you're some kind of savior? You have no idea what you're asking for. Before Jamie could respond, Aunt Lily entered, concern creasing her forehead. What's happening in here? Jamie opened his mouth to voice his frustration, but caught himself, realizing that the argument wouldn't resolve anything. Instead, he let out a heavy sigh. I don't want to fight. I just want to understand our family. Is that so wrong? The room filled with a heavy silence, and Jamie felt the dampening weight of the family's memories. As he looked at Aunt Lily, he saw sadness in her eyes, a knowing that seemed to resonate with him. Jamie, it's important to ask questions, yes, but be prepared for the answers. Uncovering family secrets has consequences more powerful than you might realize. The warning tugged at Jamie's heart and weighed on his mind. As he returned to the living room, he realized that the laughter that once buoyed him felt like a distant memory, replaced by a growing tension that threatened to shatter the beautiful tapestry he had begun to weave. He was determined to navigate through this dark maze of family secrets, even if it meant facing truths that could cause pain. Jamie understood now. Love could bind them, but the wounds of betrayal could just as easily unravel everything. Jamie resolved to confront the truth dawning on him, no matter the cost, for he recognized that only by facing the shadows of his family history could they move forward together. And together, they would have to decide whether to unearth the past or let it lie, for in their hands lay the power to reclaim their destiny or to let it slip through their fingers in fear. The ambience of the living room had shifted from warmth and laughter to an electric tension, filled with unspoken questions and lingering fears. Jamie's heart raced as he re-entered the space, feeling the weight of every gaze upon him. It was clear. Beneath the surface of family connections lay a complicated history, and he was now at the center of it. Can we all come together for a moment? Jamie addressed the family, trying to inject a sense of calm into the charged atmosphere. I think we need to talk about what we've unleashed here. This isn't just about a reunion. It's about uncovering our family's history too, no matter how dark or frightening it may be. Skeptic glances flickered around the room, and Jamie felt a knot tighten in his chest. Uncertainty loomed. I can't do this without all of you by my side, he continued. If we're going to heal, we need to face the past, the good and the bad, but it's a choice we have to make together. Mitch folded his arms tightly, brows furrowing. You think we can just dive into the depths of our family history and come out unscathed? There are ancient wounds, Jamie. Things no one wants to stir up. Secrets that could tear us apart. I understand that fear, Jamie replied, attempting to soften his tone. But what if those wounds were never healed because we kept avoiding them? What if revealing the truth is the first step to letting go of the pain? Let me tell you something, Daniel interjected suddenly, his voice slicing through the air like a knife, full of contempt. You're talking about healing when all you're doing is pulling the scabs off old wounds. You want to feel like a hero, Jamie? Unraveling our truth might lead you to a place you don't want to go. Jamie swayed between anger and confusion, but deep down he recognized that this confrontation was necessary. If I'm going to understand why we've all been so divided, I need to know why Aunt Clara left this place. You all do too. A silence hung thick as family members exchanged apprehensive looks. Then Aunt Lily stepped forward, her expression weighing heavy with the burden of knowledge. "No one can speak about Clara's past better than those who lived it, Jamie. If you want to know the truth, perhaps I should share what I know." Jamie nodded, feeling a flicker of hope ignite within him. "Please do." Sighing deeply, Aunt Lily took a step forward, gathering her thoughts amidst the tension in the room. Clara's life was far from perfect. She loved fiercely, but was also deeply hurt. There were losses, betrayals, and choices she felt were made for the greater good. When she left, it wasn't just to escape. It was to protect you and others. For years, Clara lived with the weight of regret, she continued. Her relationship with Daniel and the family fell apart over a scandal that changed everything. "Your grandmother once made a choice that fractured our family, an affair that tore through the very fabric of who we thought we were. Clara felt dragged into that mess, and in the end, she believed leaving was the best way to shield you, Jamie, from that legacy of pain." Jamie felt the ground beneath him shifting. Years of ignorance about his family shattered like glass. He was teetering on the edge of understanding, but at what cost? "So she abandoned us because of something that wasn't even her fault?" he asked, the bitterness stinging his tongue. "No," Aunt Lily persisted softly. "She felt she was the one who could bear that burden. She believed that by leaving, no one else would have to suffer from the family's choices. It doesn't justify her fleeing, it simply explains her actions. Clara's heart was infinite, but it was also deeply wounded." Tears sprang to Jamie's eyes as he processed the weight of his aunt's words. His head spun with the knowledge that he was a product of all those secrets, boons, and burdens. Could he really connect with a family so steeped in sorrow? Mitch stepped forward, his voice heavy with emotion. "But what about the love? What about the happiness she found? Sure, mistakes were made, but no one lives a perfect life. Why do we keep letting these shadows dictate our lives?" "Because it's easier," Daniel snapped, exasperation leaking from his voice. The side of him that had kept quiet surged forth, heated emotions bubbling. "It's easier to bury pain than to face it. Keeping these wounds hidden avoids confrontation, at least until now." Jamie crossed his arms, forcing himself to take a deep breath. "I get that facing the truth is uncomfortable, but we don't have to face it alone." "I want to create a new legacy for our family," he declared, passion fueling his words. "One built on honesty, love, and acceptance." Silence enveloped the room as Jamie's words hung in the air, resonating within each family member. The past may have been painted in shades of turmoil, but now there was an opportunity. As Jamie took in the expressions around him, the unease in the air began to dissipate, replaced by something different, a kind of cautious hope. Finally, Aunt Lily spoke again, her voice stronger than before. "If we confront our past together, we can rewrite our story. Clara's legacy of love must live on, but we need to honor her struggles to do it." Daniel, for the first time, looked vulnerable. "I never wanted to break our family, but I didn't know how to heal. I could never forgive, and yet here we are, confronted with a new chance." Jamie stood taller, a sense of empowerment washing over him. They were at a crossroads, and he could feel unity begin to form. "Let's take ownership of our family story, every piece, every flaw. Let's turn our embarrassment into courage." The family began to nod, nerves still tinged with uncertainty, yet tempered by palpable determination. Each ripple of acceptance traveled around the room as they recognized the strength within their shared journey. The pain could no longer remain hidden. "Will we start anew?" Jamie asked, his voice steady. "Together?" In his heart, he felt the moment shift. If they could bond over their shared legacy of love and loss, perhaps they could also build a vibrant future free of the shadows that had haunted them for so long. "Together," they echoed as one, their voices unnaturally powerful, reverberating through the house. The very walls seemed to absorb their resolve, echoing their promise in whirling remembrance of Clara's indomitable spirit. From that moment onward, the family decided to revise their collective history, to embrace the wounds, and give life to the connections they had long neglected. With newfound clarity, Jamie recognized that though shadows lingered, he stood resolutely at the forefront of a legacy transformed, a legacy rooted not only in pain, but in the promise of healing. Once the atmosphere shifted, Jamie felt an invigorating warmth replace the weight of unspoken fears. The family gathered in anticipation, and Jamie proposed they each share their memories of Clara, both joyful and painful. He envisioned a family book, a living document holding their stories, one that honored the complexity of their shared history. "We must create something that reflects who we are," he said. As each family member contributed, they began weaving a tapestry of memories. Cousin Mitch reminisced about Clara's holiday baking, while Daniel recalled the joyous laughter of family gatherings. The tears and laughter blended, transforming the house into a haven filled with life that had been long missed. With each recollection, Jamie marveled at how even the painful moments served to bind them closer together. The family's past felt less like a collection of burdens and more like a shared journey that shaped them. They were redefining their ancestry, forging a path that embraced every flaw as a means to connect deeply. As days turned into weeks, Jamie and the family worked diligently on reconnecting, revitalizing the house that had once stood as a relic of sorrow. They painted walls, hung photographs, and cleared away remnants of neglect. Each brushstroke and every story they wrote breathed new life into the structure, transforming it from a symbol of loss into a space of love and understanding. Jamie felt a surge of excitement as they approached the decision to compile their stories into a journal. Aunt Lily took charge of the project, and each day family members contributed memories, arranging them into a narrative that encapsulated their shared journey. What began as a collection of somber tales became an inspiring document filled with lessons learned and beautiful moments cherished. On a sun-drenched afternoon, Jamie reflected on the growth this journey spurred. The darkness of his family's history had faded, replaced with rekindled warmth and acceptance. Courage coursed through him as he invited the family to celebrate their stories and the connections forged through this shared experience. The day arrived for their first storytelling gathering, and Jamie meticulously decorated the living room with soft lighting and family photos. Excitement buzzed in the air, a palpable energy that reminded Jamie of the joy they had found in each other. As family members arrived, smiles illuminated their faces, igniting another layer of warmth in the house. Jamie stood to speak, feeling the weight of anticipation settle on his shoulders. "We've come together not just to honor Clara, but to embrace the future we're shaping as a family. Let's not dwell on our past like a shadow. Instead, let's cultivate a garden we can nurture and share." His words ignited a wave of applause, reverberating throughout the room and around the family, transforming the atmosphere into one of unbounded hope. Jamie took in the gathered faces, realizing they were no longer merely individuals bearing the scars of their history. They were a collective, united by shared intentions. With glasses raised, Jamie led a toast. "To family, may we remember the past, embrace the present, and create a future filled with love and understanding." The family repeated his words, their voices harmonizing, forming a symphony of commitment to one another. They faced a new beginning, left behind the haunting reminders of sadness, and forged ahead as a family ready to share every joy and sorrow in equal measure. Each laugh shared, every tear shed, and every story told would continue to bind them closer, allowing healing to happen in a way that was beautiful and genuine. As Jamie looked around the room, filled with laughter, love, and treasured memories, he finally understood that they had reclaimed the narrative of their family. The shadows that once lurked had been banished by the light of connection, illuminating the vibrant tapestry they had woven together.